implement, can you tell how many of them actually were paying or are paying? As you know, it's one thing to say it's law in your state now, following the path of the federal government, but then it's another thing to pay actually the monies to workers, 30,000 minimum.
Yes, like I told you, if you ask me the states that have implemented, I will tell you where I am now. Okay, one or two states that I know that I implemented. I will tell you where I am now.
Where are you now?
I'm in Lagos. Where I am now, that Lagos is implementing the 30,000 minimum wage. But in most of it, let me say something very clear. And there was a word I used: implementing fully. It is what is implemented, and not implement fully. Understand that implications. Even the states that we talk about that are implemented are not implemented fully. You know, there are a whole lot of distortions in the implementation process of that minimum wage. And like I said, these are the politics of this nation. You know, and especially if the labor leaders in those states, specific states, okay, if the leaders in those states are not complaining, you know, about that implementation, you understand, that becomes a problem for the leadership at the national level to take major action.
Because local government workers seem to complain about not getting paid the minimum wage, especially at the local level. We have a lot of complaints in those areas.
Yes, the complaints are varied. They are all over the nation, and that is the report that has been received.
So what's Labour's position? What's Labour's position on the plans for further increase by next year?
Yes. You see, the fact is that the 2019 minimum wage that you talked about was actually not supposed to be in 2019. If you understand, it was supposed to be earlier than that. Minimum wages in Nigeria are negotiated every 5 years, and then we are supposed to talk about that again, statutorily. But then the federal government on its own. Let me just say what the Honorable Minister of Labour said. Yes, it's good. It's a welcome development to us that they want to. But the fact is that the minimum wage is fixed through a collective bargaining process. It's a negotiated process. It is not an arbitrary process. But if the federal government on its own wants to increase minimum wage on their own, no problem. But that also will not remove the statutory negotiation of the minimum wage. So if on their own they decide now to increase by say 20%, that's all right. That's all right, because we call it a minimum wage. We didn't say it's a wage floor. So if it is a wage floor, any of the parties is free to increase it, to do more than that wage floor. Remember that some states are paying more than 30,000 naira as minimum wage. Some states, as we talk about now, are paying more than that 30,000 naira. So, if the federal government decides to, on its own, say, okay, we are going to implement 60,000 naira minimum wage, fine, we will clap for the federal government. But we are still going to wait for that statutory negotiation. When it is time for us to negotiate statutory nationwide, we will also go in and negotiate that and fix a new minimum wage. Probably what the federal government has done, they give us a cue on what to do or what not to do. Yeah.
We have a short commercial. We have a short commercial coming up, but then quickly, the deputy president of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, had said that the price of kerosene, cooking gas, liter fuel, all these items continue to multiply. And from his perspective, the issue is more than just the current 30,000 naira minimum wage. He said the amount of money doesn't really matter. Said what needs to be checked is the rate at which these items are going up. If not, even if the money is increased, it would be used up. And there's also the problem of meeting up with the payments, because we already know how the economy is, and we know the complaints we got from different state governments and even the federal government on who was going to pay 30,000. At the time, state governments even said that the federal government cannot decide for them what to pay. They would pay what they have to pay based on their economy, and the federal government can pay what it wants to pay based on its own income. And that's been the situation. So how confident is Labour that the government would be able to keep up with this increase it plans to do next year? In few seconds before we go on the commercial.
I think I made it clear, and it can be done in a few seconds. The fact is that minimum wage 60 is a collectively bargained process. Remember that issues in labor are in the exclusive legislative list. It's only the federal government that can legislate on that. The state government cannot, fortunately, legislate on that. That is why we call it a national minimum wage floor. It is a floor across the nation, so that everywhere, so those issues of capacities, of various capacities in the various states are taken into consideration when you are negotiating this process. And so the governors are involved, the federal government is involved, the employers are involved when such processes go on.
Okay.
And so they will make all their contribution in the process.
All right, so Mr. Chris, let's go for a commercial. We'll continue when we return. Stay tuned.
It's the time of the year. Come, let's chill together. But give it a
Nigeria Info PH. Log on Nigeria Info PH on Twitter or on Facebook. My guest still is the Assistant General Secretary of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Onyeka Chris, who's speaking to us from Lagos via telephone. And we're asking you that question on Facebook. Don't forget, we need you to respond to it. Do you think the NLC is still effective? Is it still very effective? If you listen to my guest carefully, my guest had said that, well, the NLC is looking at a different approach. Maybe that's why you do not see more marching or protest being held. It's now about trying to get a different approach to things. Is this an approach you like? Share with us on Facebook at Nigeria Info PH, on Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. You can also send in your questions on WhatsApp 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416. That's the WhatsApp number. I go back to my guest now. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris, for staying on the line for us.
Thank you so much.
So before the commercial, we were talking about the fact that we've had government complained about not having enough money, the various states, even the federal government, and we know the condition at the moment with the borrowings that we have and debt that needs to be repaid. We know the situation with the economy. We know the situation with inflation in the country. But somewhere we heard the Labour Party and its candidates, saying that there are plans. This is according to the Labour Party precisely. The party's deputy national chairman, Ayo Olorufemi, he said that the party is looking at implementing a minimum wage of 80 to 100,000 naira if the candidate of its party emerges as president next year. How is this possible from all that you've said and all that we have on ground? Is there something Labour knows that we need to know?
Yeah, there is something that the Nigerian labor movement knows. What we know is that we do not have problem of money in Nigeria. What we have is a problem of this.
Can you please take that again? Can you please take that again? We didn't get that clearly.
We do not have our problem as a nation. Right now, it's not monetary, but it's leadership. It's the type of leadership that has taken hold of this nation in these past years. If we put the right in place that has the right mentality to control governance cost, to reduce governance cost and all the facts in government, we will have a lot of money to pay our people and take care of the basic necessities of Nigeria. That is a fact. My brother, can you look at the issues that are coming out? Look at the issue of stamp duty, how it has been stolen. Look at the issue of the one that was in charge of the accountant general, former accountant general of the federation. Look at billions that were taken away. Look at the issue of in the pension club. Look at the billions that were taken away. Look at the issue in the subsidy, how it was inflated from 30 to over 100 and something thousand liters per day. All these add up to the fact in government that a Labour Party naturally will come in and plug those loopholes. Look at the oil that is being stolen in the Niger Delta officially, and the presidential candidate of Labour Party has said that government is actually that those that are stealing our oil are in government. And we saw what happened a week after that statement, that all the people, the way they are stealing our money, began to come to the fore. The fact is that we know where the problem is. We are the workers. We are the clerks. We know who is stealing our money, and we know where to go and plug it, and it will stop.
But if you've already known who is stealing the monies, like you've implied, why haven't any reports been made to the EFCC or or every other security agencies, and then ensure that these people are arrested?
Reports have been made. We know that it's a chain, it's a gravy train in Nigeria. It's that gravy train that has to be stopped. Everybody is involved. There's a chain. And it's that chain, that cycle that must have to be broken. And it's only a party with the right kind of leadership that can break that cycle. Once we break that cycle, our money will remain in Nigeria and serve our people. You see, my talking of what Comrade Ayo Olorufemi said, it is clear that in 2018, we conducted a survey in Nigeria. We found out then we were still broken into several parts as a trade union movement. But we found out that the national minimum wage should not be anything less than 101,000 naira. That is the only amount that can take Nigerian workers home. It was a fact that was submitted from the governor, the pleading from the employer, the pleading from federal government. And that was how we went down from that 101,000 down to that. Not political accommodation. But the truth is that national minimum wage cannot be anywhere less than 100,000 in Nigeria if we want that particular amount to have anything to Nigerian workers. Like also the deputy president of Congress of the United States, which is very, very succinct and very, very clear. We are talking about deliberate affliction of Nigerians by those in governance. How can you be talking about the price of the petroleum product that we take? We do not have any need to deliberately ground our refineries and refuse to allow them to work. I'm telling you that the refineries are not working, not because the workers there cannot run the refineries, but there is a deliberate fraud. There is a deliberate action of those in leadership to keep the refineries down, so that Nigerians will suffer.
But then,
will make more money.
A more teething problem now is the fact that Nigerians seem to be losing belief in the NLC. I mean, I'll take a few messages on social media. Perhaps that would help you get an idea of what some Nigerians think about the NLC at the moment, because I've been asking, with all that's happening economically and the rising in cost of things and the fact that the NLC has not been very vocal about it, according to many people in public space, they feel that there should be much more action by the NLC. Even if it has a different approach, that should not take away its primary approach to things. Well, this is what some people are saying on WhatsApp. And again, if you want to air your thoughts about this, remember 080-9030-6416, 080-9030-6416. So this person on WhatsApp says, good morning, sir. The NLC is no longer active, or if you like, it does not exist any longer. Think about the increase in the price of petrol. Insecurity everywhere. Usually Labour would have gone on protest, but where is the NLC? Nowhere. This is from Mr. Eze for Life in Port Harcourt. Another person says Labour union in the state is political. Okay, this one has a lot to do with Rivers State, blaming the governorship candidate of your party in Rivers State, saying she is she's bringing to the table differently. Rivers people and Labour Party members are not hearing her what she will do. What we hear is pension, minimum wage. When only government of state makes comments on minimum wage, she's running for an elective office. We haven't heard jingles on radio. Obedience are watching her actions. For me, Labour Union is not active. This is Henry. Another person says Labour has lost its clout in the country. They are now more interested in gaining power at the center in 2023, which will spell doom for the nation. Call any of their officials to deliberate on any issue affecting the workers in the country, and they will turn it into a party campaign. Joe from Port Harcourt. Just a few I'm taking now, and you can already see their perception about it. How do we change? Is there any plan for the Labour to change this idea or this narrative? Because people feel that it's becoming more political and not really defending workers and Nigerians as it was created to.
Thank you so much. We were not created to be we are not created to govern the nation or govern the state. Now you ask of our people question. I think that in the act, which I also understand, is also the task of the viability, of the vibrancy, of the effectiveness with which Labour has also conducted its activity, okay, which includes the defense of Nigerian people and Nigerian workers in the past. Now, if you ask some people, what do you mean by Labour has lost its vibrancy? Okay, which we have not done before. But if you ask them, what does it mean? Some of them will tell you that we are no longer on the street the way we used to be. That is the truth. The reality is that when we were on the street in those days, Nigerians were also part of those that criticized us. A lot of them went on air to say, why are you on the street? Why not use other strategies? They were part of those that we called out to come to the street, and they refused to come out to the street. You see, there is a lethargy, and that lethargy is a function of certain things. those who are in establishment do not want the downtrodden to put their acts together and come out in the police to challenge them. And that is why they have put this idea in the minds of some people. Hey, Labour has not done what they are supposed to do. You are also Labour, wherever you are. We are all Nigerians. It's our collective duty to come out together, join hands with the civil sector organizations and the trade union movements to fight the battle. But when you say it's Labour is not doing anything, and you stay in your house, when you are mobilized, you refuse to come out. Now they are saying we are not on the street. That is why they think they are no more as vibrant as we used to be. We have changed our method. We have continued engaging government on all of those issues. Insecurity. We have organized nationwide seminars, workshops, enlightenment campaigns. We have even gone on the street, not shutting down the nation on the basis of insecurity, the war against insecurity. On the price of petroleum products, we have done a whole lot of things and we're still doing something. On electricity tariff, we have done something.
What has, if you can share with us some of the things Labour has done, especially on the current increase in price of petrol and its scarcity, what are some of the things Labour has done?
In the last 1 week, or in the last 2 weeks, let me just say 1 week, we have written letters to the federal government making demands, asking federal government has also said that what is happening is not official. They have come out to, on the basis of the letter that we wrote, they have been saying that it is not their fault that what is happening is petroleum marketer, that they are the ones that are increasing the price and tariff.
Is that what the government said in response to your letter? The government said marketers are the ones increasing prices?
They said it's not official. It's those that are holding the products and all of those. That so, they are not, and that it has said that the official price of PMS is 165.
So for Labour, when you look at the situation and do your investigation, what do you think really is the problem? And do you think that the problem we have is still within the space of writing a letter?
That is why when we write letter, not just letter, when we write letter, we follow it up with complaint. We follow it up with engagement, peaceful engagement. Officers go to federal government, sit down with federal government and discuss these issues at different levels. They go to an NPC and discuss with what is the problem and all of those. But what I'm saying is this, that overall, we know that we have sat down and reviewed all our approaches, all the methods we have been adopting in Nigeria to protect the interests of Nigerians and the masses. And we felt, look, strict action will not be enough. And we asked ourselves, what should we do? We said the best thing for us to do was to revive our political platform, the Labour Party. You know, when we entered the Labour Party, we left it at a political point in time. But we said, let's get back to our party and use it to get to the corridors of power and make the changes that we want to make ourselves. Since they cannot listen to us on the street, they can no longer listen to our voice. Let us go out there and use our power.
So, what would be the role of the NLC if the Labour Party somehow emerges in 2023 and gets into power? What role would the NLC play then when its candidate eventually wins and then there are still issues that needs to be resolved? What would the NLC then do? What other approach would you take? Because now you said protest isn't what it would be.
The ideology of Labour Party is already, and the ideology of the national movement is already entrenched in the Labour Party. Remember, we are the ones that gave back to it. And so our ideology, our philosophy, our policy, which is anchored on the defense of the rights of the people, the defense of the rights of workers, which is anchored on egalitarianism, on social fairness, social inclusion, are all enshrined in the Labour Party manifesto. And so, going forward, you ask us, how do we implement it?
That doesn't answer the question. In case, what would the Labour Union be about when if the Labour Party emerges victorious in the election? What would now be the role of the NLC? Because what it would be then is that the NLC and Labour would be almost the same thing. So if something is wrong, for instance, like we're having now, what would the NLC then do? What approach would it take at that time?
We are in the house then. We are inside the house. Meaning that if anything goes wrong, we are also responsible for that thing that is going wrong. So we are going to ensure that those things, when it goes wrong, that we correct it from the house. It becomes easier for us. For example, the minimum wage issue you raised, the people that harassed us, intimidated us, and denied us the minimum wage, even when we went through the negotiation process, the people that harassed us all over Nigeria, the people that harassed us and all of those, at that time, when we sit inside, they will no longer be able to harass us. We will be the ones setting the stage. We will be the ones setting the framework. We will be the ones saying so. Is what we and when we make decision, every worker and all Nigerians across board, we have interest because we're involved. And that is why a Labour Party government will be different from the government that we have seen in Nigeria all these years.
Okay.
So we will be there.
Mr. Chris, we'll be taking phone calls in the next few minutes, 8 minutes. Online now is not the number to call. So you just stay on the line for us so you respond to some of the questions and contributions that our callers would make. Meanwhile, on WhatsApp, I'll take a few messages. This one says, great answer from your guest. Labour is not an opposition political party, neither is it a government. Nigerians love to channel their grievances in the wrong direction. Another one here says, good morning. Labour Union has been bought by this government. How much is pump price of petrol and what is its action? Major. Well, you heard my guest said several letters have been written and the government has said some people are holding the product. Some other corners have said, well, it's the marketers who are inflating the price. Okay, the marketers, I'm pretty sure you heard my conversation yesterday and you know the position of the marketers and the petrol retailers as well. This one said, it's a shame that your guest is economical with the truth. When a Labour leader cannot openly speak the truth, is it that person that will fight for the masses? Kingsley sent that one. Let's go over to Ajip now. Chima is on the line. Will be speaking to us. Chima, please be very precise and direct with your response. Good morning, Chima. Hello, Chima. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Chima. Good morning. Yes. Talk to us. Go ahead.
Yes, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I do not breathe for Labour, I think the gullibilities of Nigerians are in a high rate. I don't understand. The country belongs to all of us. Why will you bet on your hope on Labour? We have a role to play, okay? Why should we fold our hands and leave everything for Labour? In as much as I know that Labour can do something, but I believe the sole responsibility lies on them to stand up and fight for whatever belongs to us. What we know that this God has failed to do, the people should rise up, not to lean on Labour. I mean, why would we Labour? Labour have a role to play. We also have a role to play. Labour have fought several times. People sit without doing anything, and you are talking about Labour. Even some people who are in Sarah, they don't consider the country does not consider. You expect Labour to be able to carry what they want to do. Look at the cost of petrol. People are suffering, and you quiet and fold hands, and somebody complaining about Labour. Look, let me tell you, Labour will do their own. I believe that Nigerians know what they want and what is good. They should go for it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Chima, thank you very much. It also brings us to other civil organizations that we have and why we haven't really heard them speak or say much about the present condition economically with the country, especially with petrol and what's happening around that sector. We have rights organizations and societies and groups. Ogundu is in Rukbaku at the moment. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Etienne. Good morning to your guest online.
Okay, yes, he can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I heard your guest clearly, he made mention of how and the new strategy that the NLC has brought in since the people before now have not been coming out based on the aspect when they call for come out on the street and the rest of them that people are not coming out. But before I ask my question, I want him to know this. How do you redeem your image as a labor that is responsible to help the masses in terms of scarcity and the rest of them when you have not done that to them? How do I mean by this? Minimum wage issue till today in River State has not been implemented. Pensioners for now has not done anything. And you guys have not done anything. And people have seen you people that you people are not doing anything. What do you expect the people to do? So what I'm expecting from you is this. How can you be able to redeem your image, having known that in the past you have not done anything? And I want to ask you, this your new strategy. What is the difference between the one Adam Toshomolo used and it worked out and the ones you are using now that are not working out? So tell us, what is the difference?
All right, Ogundu, thank you very much. Let's get over to GRA. We hear from Austin, and then we'll get back to my guest so he responds to some of the questions. Austin, you're welcome. Good morning.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Go on.
Yeah. This issue of labor and all that, like what the other previous callers said, we shouldn't follow our hands and see things going on. I remember one certain time, what's the cost of this Arab Spring? It's just from one man. Just one man. And the whole nation rises. The next thing, the entire Arab Spring rises. And something is going on wrong. I remember one certain time, back then, I think 2014 or so, when Jonathan increased fuel, I think to amount of 180-something. The West, the North, the South, everybody rally. Hey, this is wrong, this is wrong. And now, here we are now. Fuel keep rising. Now, do you know that today, I bought fuel inside the station at Owando at the cost of 315 naira. And I look into my tank, I say, what is this? 10,000 naira fuel can't even take me up to half quarter. What is going on? It's no issue of labor, or it's no issue of whatsoever party or whatsoever. I think it's individual. We should rise up in this nation. Honestly, I think this afternoon I will tag myself out. I'll become very mad in Nigerian street for someone to support me. Say this is wrong. This is my country. Why are we living? Why is it every one or two persons that boy I want to jump out? I want to leave the country. This is all the problem. We should stop all this.
All right, Austin.
The government we are looking on to is our own government. If they are wrong, we should stand up to say no, it's wrong.
All right, Austin, thank you very much. I'm sure, Mr. Chris, you heard some of the callers there. I'll just add a few messages from Facebook, and then we get back to you to conclude in your response. Ikechuku says, Labour is not active. It has become more political than doing what it was created for. I plead with Labour to go back to its foundation. Eze here from Port Harcourt. Thank God Ability says, the present NLC chairman has disappointed Nigerians. NLC suddenly changed immediately. APC-led federal government took over power from PDP. Barida Jonah says, ask the guest, what does he mean by fully implementing the minimum wage or otherwise? And then Precious Wisdom says, there's nothing like NLC in Nigeria at the moment. This typifies the problem of this country. During the days of Obasanjo and Jonathan, NLC had more than 32 teeth, making noise and pretending to have the interests of Nigerians at heart. Now that Nigeria is in a state of comatose, NLC has no single tooth. It seems they're okay with the things that now compared to zero. I feel pity for the common Nigerians. Let's get you now. All of this. I'm sure you heard some of the calls and you just heard the message. You can do that for 2 minutes. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, so sure you heard some of the callers and you also heard the message. The first of the question is to redeem your image as NLC, because a lot of Nigerians are losing faith in the NLC. So how do you intend to redeem your image? And some of the people have also said what you mean by fully implementing the minimum wage. You said states haven't fully implemented. What does that mean as well?
Okay, I had clearly what Tima said, the first caller. I agree with him totally. In the sense that it's one of the issues that I care about. NSAS was not led by the students. NSAS was led by the working and networking. Union money. Okay, NSAS, you make our problem. But the problem is I cannot do anything. Even when you go to the street, you can fight the government and yourself. To question other little things. Also, the people, and we have people are not of the same kind of people. We have to what to get some struggle. When I look at labor, I do what we are doing. There is no point on the road. Please forget it become better.
So, Mr. Chris, we have about 1 minute left. So, that's finally to redeem image in eyes of Nigerians who to be more political now. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris. Take that to be your final words. Thank you for making out with us on the show today, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Let's go over to Rumokuta Kunkwo. You have just 10 seconds to talk to us. And we'll wrap up on the show with this one. What is next? Jude will hold your studio any minute from now, so we'll just stay with him. I'm sure you'll have the best time. My name is Andrew on every social media platform. Andrew on Twitter and Instagram. Andrew on Facebook. Thank you. And happy in advance.
The show continues. Night. Today